Alright, welcome
Just
to
get
another
ready.
Big Bun Game Club with friends on this spooky night, on this Sunday night. Here with Charles,
I
talking
mean,
about Bloodstained.
the people aren't going to see it until when you upload it. It took
Oh
you an
yeah,
extra week to upload the whole thing last
well it's fine. I mean,
time.
I wanted to upload it like Monday, initially, and then I just kind of got lazy about it, but this time I won't be lazy, and I will upload it. I will upload it, you'll see it Monday in your sub feeds.
The reason Theo didn't upload it right away is because he didn't want to share his shine. He's like, my channel is just me and Cleo, and I don't
Yeah.
want anyone else
Of course, of course. I mean, that's why like my cover photo is just her face or her. I guess it's her snout. Originally, like that was like my stream image. Every time I would go down on stream or whatever, it'd show that, and then they put that as the cover photo and just cuts off her entire face and just shows her nose. I was like, oh, this is a great image. YouTube knows
on
what to crop.
it. So does it mean, since I was uploaded to the channel, does that mean that Cleo gave the okay that I could be part of this Big Bun Gaming Club? Is
Oh,
there like a ritual that has to happen?
well, the ritual is a secret ritual. Can't tell you on a recorded video. Obviously, it's very. Uh, I had something that I heard something about a cult thing a few days ago, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And I can't think of it now. It's something really weird. I was like, "Oh yeah, listen to this." I was like, "Oh shit," but I can't think of it now.
Is it
Oh
is it that like that life coach cult, the Nexium thing?
no, it was. Oh, it was a Panda Express thing. Because I was watching this podcast
What?
and they were talking about like one of these
The
Panda
orange
Express
chicken based
employees.
cult?
Yeah, they were like saying like, oh, if you want promotion, you had to strip for them and do like this weird like cult like ceremony to get promoted, and it's like you work at Panda Express and you're doing this. Like, I don't know.
Who is stripping for a Panda Express promotion?
I don't know. Someone is. Maybe
Well,
people who are
okay.
just into that. Maybe it's someone's kink. You know, you never know. Someone out there is like, I can't wait to get this promotion. Can't wait to work for it.
Can't wait to get 70 cents more an hour
Oh
for
yeah, just a
serving
bake.
orange chicken.
Yeah, of course.
So anyway,
Yeah, not
talking
now
about
we'll get into
Bloodstained,
this.
right?
Yeah. Not Panda Express. Ritual of the Panda Express Ritual of the Night. Now that's a headline.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to look that up after this because that sounds bizarre.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to like verify that too because it was just something I heard in passing. Anyways, so Charles told me before we recorded to get my my save data because I didn't bring it initially. I was just gonna kind of tell you where I was, like where I last remembered, but I did record it and I kept
I
my
literally,
huh.
oh, I was just saying, I thought of it literally right before we sat down that we should, because there's so many stats in there to compare. So it'll be interesting to see where we're at.
Yeah. So I compared to my original file. I started this game like when it came out, which was I think last year, I think. So I played that when it came out for a bit, and I only played like almost an hour of it, and only made it to level 7, and then I kind of dropped it after that. This time around, I am 2 hours in and 42 minutes, and I'm level 15 right now. So that's a huge leap in all that.
Okay.
But it says like I kill like
Okay. So
300 something
how much?
monsters.
Okay. So 300 monsters. What area are you in?
I'm at the
Did you write that down?
I didn't write that down, but I do. I just got past the cathedral part, like the rainbow glass monster you fight in that. Like, where are you
Right.
in that
What
game?
ability do What ability do you get right after that?
I just got the one where you get like a hand and you get to move things around.
Okay, I'm a little further than you.
Oh,
So save your save data says you've played for 2 hours, but how many hours do you really think you've played?
well, here's the other thing. I did a lot of side missions in that. You get like all these side missions in farming
Yeah.
because I also was fighting Zengetsu. I think I'm probably played a little bit more if you count all my deaths because I don't know if it records that. So it's probably
Oh, it
like
doesn't. That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, so it's probably like maybe 5 hours. Because Zangetsu, like,
Yeah.
that is the hardest boss. Like, after that, everything else was like a cakewalk. That dude is like, it's a little cheap a little bit when I was fighting him. I was like, some of the stuff, like, he changes in midair. Like, if you go, like, walk somewhere to account for that grappling move, as he's falling, he just change directions. I'm like, oh, he got me anyway. And there's no run.
So that's what I will say. So regarding no run, there is the back step. Have you been using the back step?
The backstep is such a, like, it fucks with me because it goes to where the character's backside is, obviously, but if you're like, I don't know, I could describe it before, but now I can't think of it, like, because there's this thing I do where I'm like trying to like backstep and I end up backing into the enemy all the time because I
do this. You gotta train yourself because I do the same thing. I instinctively press away and press the back step, which makes you back up into them.
Yeah, I think the other thing is I keep thinking that a lot of games, like I was playing Ruiner a few weeks ago, and that has a dash move as well, so you can always dash out of enemies' attacks, whatever. So I'm used to almost every game having a general dash to go in any direction. While this game, it's only backstep, and then other than that, good luck. Like,
yeah.
But what
I would say, what's my stats?
Yeah, what are your stats?
Okay, so I'm in the Tower of the Twin Dragons. I have 7,600 gold, 560 enemy kills. I've been playing for 3 hours and 7 minutes. I'm at level 19.
Holy shit.
3 hours and 7 minutes is not accurate because I have died. Okay. The worst thing I have done is made like so much progress and then died without finding a save room.
Like,
there was one point where I literally explored like 10% of the castle. Oh, did you write down? I'm at 25% castle explored too.
Oh, I think I'm like 15% if I remember correctly. Yeah, 15%.
So I made like 10% progress. And then I died without finding a save room. I was just like,
that happened to me in the beginning part with the boat. I was on the boat. I remembered some of the stuff from my first playthrough on the boat, so I was going to all these areas, and I kept dying, and I was getting so frustrated because I was able to get to the boss so easily the first time when I played it last year, and this time I was like, I know where I want to go. Enough of this. I just kind of barged through the boat to get to the boss, and I did some of the secrets. I knew there were some items I wanted, but it was just like that. And I was thinking, I kind of realized I should probably be more careful with that kind of like frustration because you could miss so many things. Like there was before I stopped playing for the night last night, I found this character named Todd who does customization. I found this cool shard stuff that I really liked. I was like, okay, I knew where a save room was, and it was between like, okay, I can either go on the carriage to go to the next area or go save. I was like, oh, I'll go save, and I accidentally used a waystone to go all the way back to the village. And I was like, okay, well that's fine too. I could check on my farm. I could check on any items I want to make or craft or whatever. Now I'm surprised they have like 76,000 gold. I have like 1,000 because I keep spending my money on healing and all that.
I haven't spent a dime.
I
haven't spent anything.
I go after a lot of the potions in that, and I also was doing a lot of I fought this one enemy that cursed you. If you go through him, it just automatically gives you a curse ailment. So I was like, okay, I'll just stack up on some holy water with that as well. So I was doing that. I was doing a lot of stuff within the inventory. Like after like getting bodied by Zangetsu, I started getting really invested with like all these side mission stuff. Like this woman that's like, oh, kill these many demons, and I'll give you this, I'll give you that.
Dude, that lady is hilarious. She's always like, my cousin's cat got killed by a lynx. Kill those bastards. Like she's like the local blacksmith. Like she has like 100 different people, and she's like, you have to avenge them. I'm like, okay, lady, like whatever. It's
I
such a funny thing.
Yeah, I love all of the side characters you have in that area. The one where you grow stuff, the guy's like super like invested with the crops. Oh, look how far you've gone with your crops! Oh man,
Yeah,
look at this! You can't take anything yet. It's not even fully. It's like, oh, okay, dude, calm down. This
everyone's so excited.
Yeah. And then this other person, I did this one quest, and they gave you this ring. It has great defense. It's like, oh, 15 defense. Like, oh, hell yeah. But then it's like minus 10 attack. I was like, oh, this ring is a piece of shit. Fuck that. And it just
Dude,
gives you this
I
bullshit
saw that.
stuff, yeah.
I equipped that ring, and I was like, why am I so weak all of a sudden? I was like, do I not have something equipped? And it turns out that was just killing all of my attack.
Yeah.
So I just got rid of that.
What
I saw
weapon
the
are you
safety
using?
ring. I am a big fan. So I think the best all around weapon is to use like anything that's a boot. Like I love the what is that? The lethal boots or whatever. It has the knife on
Oh.
the bottom.
Oh,
Do you know?
those are rad,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So like I think kicks are great and like it's interesting that like a lot of weapons will have special moves where you can put like inputs in. Kind of wish they did like because they do like quarter circles, which are kind of tough to pull off on the fly. Like do like a quarter circle forward to do that kick move. You
oh.
basically do like a like whatever, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
You have to like
I know what you're saying.
control. Yeah. So it's like I wish they had done simplified inputs where it's just like down right instead of like rolling.
Yeah.
But it's you can do a lot of cool stuff with the kicks. But my favorite weapon is the spiral sword. It just like
Oh.
hits like 10 times.
I need to find that one because I used the Thorn Whip a while, and I like that, but there's a lot of like wind up and vulnerability with it because I've been doing all these close enemies, and there'd be like a dog just running around, and I would just be like, and then I would get hit and it interrupts it, so I have to keep doing it. It's like, okay, this is cool. I love this weapon. It has a cool like input combo where it's just like a tornado. It's like, okay, that's cool, but it's like it's very like few and far between I'll be able to land that half the time, so it's like it's not really reliable otherwise. So I use the spike mace because it got a shard that buffs the attack as well. So it's like, oh, this is gonna be fucking bonkers. Like when I fought that rainbow glass boss, it was just fucking bodied. After like I was like, oh, this is perfect. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. Everyone's a bitch.
Say maces are the best all around weapon just because it's like they're so like I feel like maces in this game don't handle how I think they would. They handle what I think like a medium or short sword would handle like.
Yeah,
Which is not a bad thing, but
I think the animation's kind
I
of the
think there's a
same.
wait, hold on, talk about yeah.
Yeah, so we had a ghoul interrupt the call. Another demon in the army of Bloodstained. It was Jebel. Jebel did it with his book of Necronomicon bullshit.
Yeah, what I was gonna ask, what do you think about the story of this?
It's I do like that there is some like science mumbo jumbo thrown in. I do like the idea that Miriam is this like uh creation of all these shards and all this stuff. Like she's like half demon and it's like corrupting her humanity. Like I like that side of it. Like I do like that it's like this interesting like religious mumbo jumbo with science mumbo jumbo, and it's like throw that into a blender. It's a little bit more interesting and campy, like Evil Dead. The
Yeah.
only thing is I just don't think the characters are as strong. Like Miriam is cool. I like Miriam, but it says Jebel. Like I don't get anything out of him.
Yeah, and how unintimidating is that name? I'm like, I have to kill a guy named Gerbil. Like, who cares?
I think I have a feeling like it's gonna lead to like the game probably wants you to think, oh, Jebel's the bad guy. You're gonna go after Jebel. Then it's gonna be like when you get to the end, it's like, guess what? He's not the villain. It's actually Alfred, or it's gonna be Johannes or whatever the fuck that dude.
Who is Johannes?
The
The one that's with you? The one that's like the crafting guy?
Yeah, the guy with the glasses.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think Alfred is going to be the one.
Yeah, it's something like that because it's because I feel like it's gonna go through kind of like tropey shit with the genre because it's still
Yeah.
kind of the same idea, but it's that, and I also think that the pacing of the story is kind of weird because there was a time where after I beat Zangetsu, I went back to do crafting or whatever. I went to Anna's shop, bought stuff, then left, and then I died somewhere. So I went back to the last save. I did the same thing, but then I went back to Anna's shop like after I did some crafting stuff. I wanted to go back to see her, and then Zangetsu ended up being there. I was like, oh, I've never seen this before, and it's just Zangetsu like asking her directions for places or something, and Anna's like, don't go, where are you leaving? Don't wait, and he just leaves anyway. And I was like, oh, so there could be like story segments that you could just blatantly miss by just not going to places at certain times. And then like you go to the crafting guy. Sometimes if you craft stuff and you leave the shop, he will tell you some more story stuff about the Lugabadiath, whatever. It's a weird
Yeah.
name.
Ligger Lug. I don't remember what it's called.
I mean, that's what I think Evil Dead did better. Just call it the Necronomicon, and that's like the best way. I love that book is read. I just love in Evil Dead seeing that book. They cool, a book with a face on it. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I think the funniest thing about the story is like, well, some of the scenes are goofy because it's like you'll run into somebody, and then all of a sudden, like one of those humans that are back at the base are just there. It's like, how did they get through the castle? Like after you fight Zangetsu, like this chick's just like, Zangetsu, knock it off. It's like we just tried to murder each other, like, and that's all you have to say about it. Like, how did you even get here?
I think it's like it's a level of like this indie game where it's just like, hey, you just have to accept that this happened, like whatever. Because I get
Right.
so like at some points like I kind of don't care about that kind of stuff. It's like the same kind of logic some fighting games have. Like I was playing Persona 4 Arena, a while ago, and it's like, oh right, you have to go through all this bullshit to get to this one area. Then all of a sudden, this other character that was like having all this trouble just magically shows up right after you. It's like, oh, he's right there. So it's that kind of like video game logic.
Yeah, I know I don't really care about it, but it's just so goofy every time. It's just like what are you doing here?
A lot of the cutscenes is kind of goofy because they don't do proper cutscenes like they did in the very beginning when it's just like her like walking, but then after that's like told like a theater play almost like just 2D dialogue, which is fine because I think that's like trying to evoke Castlevania kind of.
Right.
Yeah,
that's interesting that you said it like kind of like a stage play. That also helps me like suspend my disbelief of like what's going on because it's just like this makes no sense. I have to fight my way through this castle. Anytime I leave a room and come back, there's a zombie trying to throw bones at me. Like, how did you get here? Like, you couldn't even make those jumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so when you first started the game, did a bunch of options unlock right away?
Yeah, I think there was a patch recently, like that. Well, relatively recently, because they never like played the game for a long since March of 2020. So there must have been a patch that just kind of unlocked all these other new modes that they might have promised in the crowdfunding, maybe.
Right.
So it could be that too. That because there was a mode that it said like, oh, we unlock this, but you have to beat the game first. It's like, oh. Okay,
Yeah.
like I didn't know who the character was. I was like, what's this? What's this thing?
Well, there's Zangetsu mode.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like, because I saw that, and then immediately when I saw that character, I was like, I'm gonna be able to play as this guy. Like you could just tell, and I was like, wait a second, it's Zangetsu. That's who I could play as because it was like Zangetsu mode is for people who have already played through the game. They're like, don't choose this mode yet, even though you can play it.
Yeah, the other thing is that like when I first saw Zangetsu, I was like, this guy looks so familiar, and I just couldn't put my finger on it, and then it hit me like, oh, this is probably. And I was thinking in the back of my mind like, this is probably a character from like the other Bloodstained games, probably, maybe. And then I was talking to another friend, Jency, about this game, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, that's the dude from the first game." I was like, "Oh, he's from Curse of the Moon." Oh, okay.
Oh,
And I only played a little bit of that, and that game is rough as fuck. Like that just I couldn't handle it. Curse of the Moon 2 is I like that way more. It has more
yeah.
characters, but that one has Zangetsu as well, which he sucks in that game. I like the staff character way more. It has way more maneuvers and shit and range.
Well,
Zangetsu
after
just is like a little baby sword.
yeah, it's probably supposed to be hard though. I
Yeah.
want to. I'm really excited to try. I'm excited for a second playthrough as Zangetsu, first of all, and then I want to try these other games too. It'll be interesting. I was calling Zangetsu the Solid Snake Samurai because he's uh, David Hayter.
Yeah.
So
He was also the narrator. Like before we were recording, I was kind of watching the beginning just to kind of see how it started. And the very first cutscene is voiced by him. And I was like, oh, he actually plays the character as well and the narrator. It's like, oh, okay, this is
well,
pretty cool.
I mean, maybe he's not just the narrator. Maybe it is narrated by Zangetsu.
Yeah.
Like maybe he has something to do with this whole universe that I don't know the
Yeah.
story of it. So that'll be interesting to see what, because like I didn't even really get what his problem was. He was just like, "You got shard. You're a shard bringer. I'm gonna murder you." It's like, all right, calm down, dude. Like,
Well,
whatever.
he doesn't like shard binders since they are. It's some like taboo in this world of like because it kind of melds like the demon shit with humans, and it's like these things are like atrocities, and they should not really be existing in our world. They suck, whatever. Like he hates all that kind of bullshit. So it makes sense. And then I guess like by the end, it's like okay, fine. I guess I'll let you like do whatever. But if you cross me, I'll kill you. It's like
Well, it makes sense because they like brought upon the apocalypse, right? Because isn't that what
yeah,
the story is? Like that they had this power and they like used it to try to like take over the world or whatever, and then they sealed it all off.
yeah.
And
But
now Gerbil is like, I'm gonna like make it happen again for some reason.
well, it's interesting because I think if I remember correctly, they didn't necessarily like choose to be shard binders. Like they were kind of like forced to be them. Like someone else made the decision for them, and that's what they were like kind of grappling with before. Because like Miriam like mentions like oh, Jebel like made me feel a lot better now since he told me like you're human if you make if you make choices, if you make decisions on your own and all that. Once you lose that ability, then you're a demon. So I think it's gonna show that somewhere along the line with Devil, he kind of got. I think maybe is this gonna be that book is like corrupting him. Maybe the like if you have that book, it just fucks up your brain.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be something in there that's some bullshit prophecy thing because like isn't Miriam she like was asleep for 10 years and then all of a sudden woke up,
Yeah,
which that trope is always hilarious to me because it's like she's been asleep for 10 years and somehow she wakes up and like is ready to just beat the shit out of demons, like jump kicking demons to death.
but
But I
she's
know it's
also
like
kind of
okay, she's magical, whatever.
well, yeah, but also she's kind of a piece of shit because she's like level 0. Like you get only so far with where you start out with. Once you get to like the castle, I think that's kind of where you start seeing like okay, she might have the gung ho attitude, but it still means almost nothing with bigger enemies.
She's still kicking ass, man.
Yeah,
Like
well,
she's can swing on around a mace like it's nothing. Like that's not a normal human feat.
yeah.
You know what
Oh,
makes me laugh
what?
is because when I first started playing the game and like first collecting shards, like every time you get a new shard, it's like, do we have to watch this woman get stabbed through the chest every single time in
And,
pain? And
well,
it's so funny because I looked in the options and you can turn it off. That's how fucking agonizing it is. It's like you can just turn that option off so it doesn't happen every time.
I like it if it's like for a new shard, like oh this is something brand new, like okay that's cool. But when it's something that you already have, it's like oh, okay, like we don't need
Right.
this for like the second shard of the same fucking thing. And that's the other thing I don't understand. Like why do you need like why is there a quantity of shards? Like how could I get like 5 of one shard? Like what's the point of having these quantities?
I think that has something to do with crafting. I think you can like deconstruct them or something.
Oh, okay. Because I was trying to I thought I could deconstruct like armor or some shit, and it's like, oh, I can't. It's like, oh, but then what's the point? But I guess that is
Or
for
maybe
shards.
no, I think maybe it's the more of the shards you have, the more powerful they are. So
Oh,
there's some reason for it. I don't remember.
okay. Because I really was just like, why do I have like 5 of these? Like what? Like you don't like deplete at all. It's like, oh, I guess it's to make them stronger. So now that I know that, now I know to keep them.
I might not be I might be wrong. There's something
Uh,
to it, but there's some reason that you can collect multiples.
well, I guess
Um,
I'll Google it because it's either it could be that or it could just be to give you something else to sell maybe.
I know you can level up the shards because if you actually look at the menu when you're equipping them, it says like at the next level it does such and such thing.
Oh, so maybe that's what it is. Like if you get as a certain amount, then you can enhance them.
Yeah, I don't know exactly because I always get overwhelmed. Like I play a bunch of the game before I deal with like any like crafting menus
Yeah.
and like equipment stuff because it's just like there's just too much shit here and I don't want to learn it yet. I just want to play the game. So
That's what I was like feeling like in the first episode when we were talking about this. I was saying like I think there's a lot of stuff that's kind of cumbersome with what you're like
mhm,
looking at. There's all these inventories you have to go through your head, your shoulder, your scarf, your ears, all this bullshit. And it's like, okay, like why can't we just have maybe head, pants and shirt or whatever. Like it gets to like so many like arbitrary levels that it's like even Persona is not that like intense with
yeah,
with their
I,
equipment.
I mean I think it makes I'm okay with all of the pieces of equipment you can get, but I get overwhelmed with like going back because you can sell your stuff, but you can also give it to what's his name, Isaac, the guy that
Oh
does crafting. What's his
yeah.
name?
Oh, I think it's like Johannes.
Johannes. It's like you go to Johannes and he can take things apart, and it's like the reason I always get overwhelmed is because I like want to kind of optimize that, and I want to be like, okay, I want to deconstruct something, or I want to sell it if it's worth more selling it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's
I
no
like,
easy way to look at like things that you
yeah,
want because like you have to go to 2 separate rooms on like
right,
parallel from each other. They're not like at all next to each other. And
right,
then the other thing is that like you can't compare with what they're selling to what you have equipped. I always have
right.
to like go through them and you leave, go through my
Yeah,
menu, and then you go back and then it's just like what are we doing here?
super
Like
annoying.
and then
Yeah,
it's just I always get nervous if I'm selling something. Oh, am I going to be selling something that I have equipped that I want to keep? I mean, there's an E, but it's so like hidden. Well, it's like not hidden, but it's kind of like not noticeable.
I agree. Yeah, like I said, it's a little overwhelming.
Like
I will
it's
say though, I do really like how when you equip like your head stuff and your rings and all that, it actually shows up on her. So like I found like a wolf head and she's just wearing a wolf head right now.
I I do like it. It's just the one thing I hate is that there's this one item that had really good stats, but I hated it. It was the elf ears. And I was like,
Oh yeah,
I don't want these fucking elf ears. Fuck it, I'm just gonna just sacrifice that.
that's the best. You're in a cutscene and she just has elf ears.
Yeah.
And like and that was actually I think that's one of like the first items you get because um I remember that was when I was like, I didn't realize she had elf ears. And that's when I realized, oh, she's wearing them because I equipped them.
Yeah, it's
Because like she was like, Jable, knock it off. And like she had elf ears. I was like, I didn't realize Miriam had elf ears. And I was like, no, you put those on.
yeah, there's a video on YouTube from this guy ProZD who did this video. He used to do these like second long videos where it would just kind of be taking these tropey shit in video games and just kind of like making fun of it. So it's like, all right, you're going to like a high level boss and you have all these good stat gear, but they all look fucking stupid. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're gonna fucking kill you. Not yet, bitch. And it's like this guy in like a pink dress and like with all these like bullshit
I think he's
accessories.
wearing like a boa. I've seen this. And I think he's
Oh.
wearing like a boa, like frilly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he like hits him with a stick and he just dies in one hit.
Yeah, it's like that kind of shit. It's like I like that stuff. But at the same time, it gets really annoying when it's like I just want to make my character look cool. Like that's why I was so happy I found Todd because I was like, oh cool, I gotta change her eye color. Now she has like black eyes, red iris, a red like iris or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
gave her like cool like samurai hair. It's like, oh, she looks like she's like a fucking demon femme fatale. I was like, hell yeah, this is what I want. But
Yeah.
other than that, like the accessories are okay. Like I have this one that was a reference to a Mega 64 thing. That was like a helmet, and it's like, oh, this is kind of goofy looking. Like it's just a bicycle helmet with shit on it, and it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. You do you recognize any of the people that are in the portraits?
Oh man, I the ones I've seen, I don't think so, but I have a feeling they're either. I feel that they're either developers or people who kickstarted the game.
I think that's what it is because I think the first two portraits, and I should have just looked this up. You ever watch the show Game Sack? There's
No.
a YouTube channel called Game Sack, and I think the first two portraits are the guys from Game Sack, which is kind of funny. Because I was like, these guys look really familiar. And I thought about it for a second. I think that's who that is. I'll have to look that up. But I'm pretty sure it's Kickstarter backers.
Oh, well, that's nice. I mean, I think you have all these games that are kickstarted, and I think this one did a very good job implementing like backstart stuff. Like, there's a game that I like was Indivisible, which was a kickstarted game or an Indiegogo game, and a lot of people when that game came out got so mad with the back because one of the tiers was you get to design a character to be in the overworld. So this is background character, whatever.
Right.
And everyone was like making fun of it when it was released. Like, yeah, these characters look like bullshit. Look at this one. This one looks like it's from another game or whatever. And I was sitting there. I'm like, I get these criticisms, but at the same time, like, what are they gonna do? It's like these people like made the game happen. So it's like, it was like this weird thing that's like it's kind of shitty to do that to make those statements, but I get it at the same time. It was really weird, but it's like. You can always, but this one I think does a way better job just kind of throwing them in without looking out of place, I guess. But it's just with Indivisibles, like these are like characters that have no bearing on the story. You could just walk right by them and never talk to them or care about them at all. So it's like a non-issue.
I might have to see that.
I mean, you may not even notice. I mean, there's like this dog that's like purple and pink, and it's somewhere in this one city that you have to find. But it's whatever.
You were talking. So before we got cut off last time, we were talking about weapons, right?
Yeah.
And you said you haven't found the spiral sword, but I think that's a pretty easy thing to find. I think so. I might not be correct. I might not be right with this, but I think a lot of the equipment you find, you pick it up from the demons that you fight.
Yeah.
So like.
It's that, and I think it's random because there was stuff that I found on one playthrough, like one run, and I died and I lost it. And when I did the same thing, I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it again. Like it. So I think there is some RNG with the drops.
Yeah, so I think you get it from killing. You know those it's like a big suit of armor, and they just like they swing at you and kind of go forward, and they have like a spinning sword. I think that's their weapon.
Yeah.
So you're just gonna kill a bunch of those, I think.
Is it the one that's like the chainsaw sword?
Almost? Yeah, that's exactly what you use.
Because I had that. I got that as a shard. So I have that as my R2. So it just kind of So I just kind of summon it.
Oh, you can summon that suit of armor.
Not the suit of armor, just the sword that he uses.
Well, I think if you kill some more of them, you actually because like I have the sword.
Oh.
And it handles like a long sword or it handles like the big ones that you have to swing overhead.
Oh,
right?
Okay. I'm not a huge fan of like these slow attacks, like these big because I see a lot of these like two-handed weapons. It's like I want to like be quick about it.
Here's what makes this amazing is that if you like properly dodge and you hit with one of those, it hits like 5 times.
Yeah,
so it's very worth it.
But it's just it's kind of the same issue I have with and this is one of the reasons I did not like I'm not loving Persona 4 as much as 3. In Persona 3, the main character can wield any weapon you want him to wield. He could have a bow and arrow. He could have a short sword, a long sword, whatever. In Persona 4, you're only stuck with a long sword. So in Persona 3, I'm so used to the short sword attacks because they're quick. So I never have to be like, alright, gotta wind up. And 4, I'm stuck with this big winding motion. It's like, it's fucking sucks. And I just suck at the timing, and it's like I get frustrated half the time because I just miss the time by 1 second. But
Wait, what timing do you have to have in Persona?
when you're going through the dungeon and you have these like those blob shadows,
Oh,
so like
just
sometimes
for starting a battle.
yeah, so I always get tripped up, and it's like, all right, enemy advantage. Like, oh god damn it, no. And so always enemies are higher level too. It's like, all right. So every time that happens when I stream Persona 4, I just accept the fact that it could be a game over. It says all his progress could be lost. I accept it, whatever. And then if I run in time or I turn the battle over, it's like, holy shit, I fucking did it. Other than that, it's like, fuck that. I gotten better with it, but it's also a PS2 game, so it's very easy to kind of get acquainted with that. But
Yeah.
this one, it's like I guess I could if I learn the timings. Just I have no patience. If I get like overwhelmed, I get overwhelmed so easily in these kind of games. That's like I just want a short sword so I can just kind of like move and do stuff that I know.
Yeah, so then maces will probably be the best for you then. Which I think maces might be the best all around weapon because they're just nice and quick and powerful.
I have used the lethal boots, and I did
Yeah.
like them for a while, but then I dropped them because it was just like they were not doing enough damage that I wanted them to do. Like the mace was doing 20 plus, and then this was like, okay, this is like 18, which is good, but it's like I don't know. It was just there was something that was like holding me back from keeping them. I think
the lethal boots, they're nice, but the problem is they might only do like 2 damage because you have to be closer.
Yeah.
They can hit twice. So like if they hit with a knife, they're stronger, so they'll hit like 20 damage. The reason I think they're so great though is because you have such a better range with them. Because like for instance, the mace I don't think is great for fighting like the frogs, which maybe you haven't got to those yet.
I've seen some frogs, yeah.
Yeah, like those are tough to fight with them, and then like the bats even. And I don't think you've seen any bullheads yet. You know what those are? The ones that go like this. Yeah, you probably haven't fought those yet.
Are they
They're
in the
just-
red suit of armor?
No,
Oh.
they're just like the Medusa heads in Castlevania, if that means anything to you.
No, so I mean, I'll
Okay,
see
so
when I see them.
You'll see when you see them. But they have an attack pattern where they fly like this, so they're like on a straight path, but they fly like this, and they're super hard to hit with anything but the boots. I think.
I that was like the one thing like in Curse of the Moon they had a lot of those kind of enemies, and that was one of the reasons why I dropped it because it was just so many of them. It's like I can't get the timing right, and I was just like I'm just gonna be keep dying. I learned one, and then then like 2 more would come to throw me off. It's like oh, okay, goodbye. Like Curse of the Moon 2, I'm getting better at learning like the enemy placement with that, but it's with Curse of with the first one it was way tougher. So so this is gonna be fun getting this area.
Curse of the Moon is 2D though, right?
Yeah, it's like it's a pixel.
Yeah,
game.
which I have a real big prejudice against 2.5D games because I think they're a lot harder to like zone things out properly. Like I think it's way harder to figure out your placement on the screen on a 3D model than it is with a pixel because like with a pixel you see exactly where the border is and I can get up real close. It's like a lot of the times in this game like more so than any other Castlevania or any type of game like this I've played is that I'll get too close to an enemy. So like I'll attack and I'll be too close and I'll get hit. And it's like, do I really deserve to lose 40 damage because I was too close? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a lot of the issues with fighting games now, like Street Fighter in particular. Like Street Fighter is the worst with it.
Yeah,
with Street Fighter 5, but
it's way harder. I think
it depends. I do also think it depends on the on how the game runs and handles it because I think a lot of games is it's kind of like now you've seen like Batman the Animated Series and all those shows. So they did the Green Lantern animated series a few years ago, and that was like they took the same art style from those shows and made it 3D, and it just doesn't translate well because they didn't. Because when you go to 3D, I just think that you need to add more detail to what you're animating. You can't just toss it in and be like, okay, there you go, because it looked unfinished. Like
it's flat.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. It just looks like this. It's like okay, you got like the 3D model down. It's there, but like okay, you got like one tone of shading and that's it. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe do a little bit more, but with this, I think it does a good job with the detail in terms of like how characters look. But I do think that when it comes to combat, it's that, and then also it just feels very floaty. And
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it looks amazing. Like I think the game looks great. But
yeah,
yes, I agree that like it's almost like it needs to be closer or something because you can't see. It's really hard to like because I want to get right up to him and just be like just play footsies and just
yeah.
kick him to death.
I
But
think
it's way harder.
I think what it would have worked better with it is if it was a cell shaded game, like it was just animated like that and had like a black outline, and then you could just kind of judge it with by that. Because
Yeah,
this
that would
is
work.
like something's kind of like melded into the background a little bit or whatever, and even like the knife boots, like when you're on doing like ground attacks, the knife you may not even see where it is as
Right.
well. If
Yeah.
I even remember using those weapons correctly. Now, the other thing I was going to actually ask you is because you mentioned this in the last video about how Castlevania Symphony of the Night was so open and you could just kind of get lost or whatever. Did you feel that way with this? Because I feel with Ritual of the Night, it's the most accessible version of that, where it's like you are going through a line, like it's kind of guiding where you need to go, but at the same time, it's also open enough to be like, okay, there's could be like hidden rooms in some areas.
Yeah, I will say it doesn't feel as magical as like Symphony of the Night feels, where it's like this feels way more. I don't want to say linear, but it's like you have this thing now. Go ahead and like move on. Like there were points where I went to places that I wasn't ready to go to yet, but they just connected right back to the rest of the castle.
Yeah, like
So it doesn't feel as satisfying yet to access new areas.
yeah, when I got to the Zangetsu fight, I almost thought that was like a later part of the game that I wasn't supposed to be at because he
Right.
just kept wrecking me. So I was like, okay, there has to be no way
There's
that
nothing else to do.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the guy in the character's like, oh, you need to find a helping hand. And I was like, okay, like whatever. And I thought that was like, and I was like thinking when I first saw that, I was like, oh, it's gonna be some cryptic thing that I have to like find and figure out. But then it's like, oh no,
No.
you have to go here because then the game just spells out for you later on. Like once you beat Zangetsu, it's like, oh, he's talking about this rainbow glass monster or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, so if I see rainbow glass, I know I'm going the right direction.
That's what I'm saying. It feels it's hard to explain and it's not fair to say it until I finish more of the game. But it does feel more like you're just being pushed in the right direction.
Yeah, because Curse of the
And it's
Moon
like
is more like traditional Castlevania, where it's like you are going through a linear path as well.
mhm.
Um, well, I guess I can only talk about two because I never beat one. Two, like at least it kind of feels a little bit more linear, but there is an overworld map that you could kind of go around. You could choose different characters as well.
Mhm.
So it's more interesting than one, I think, but one I do want to go back to at some point because maybe
Yeah.
now I'll have a better tolerance for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to play through this again the whole way before I can make a real judgment. But it just doesn't feel as it doesn't feel like you're solving a puzzle when you're going through it. It's kind
Yeah,
of just like you're doing what you had to do because you that was what was available to you.
yeah.
Uh,
The uh the other thing is like some of the bosses, like the first boss was kind of like the boat area. I think kind of, when I first played that kind of made me not like the game at first. It was just not very like it didn't make me hate it, but it was just like okay, like I get like it did seem very average. It was like okay,
mhm.
whatever, I don't care. When I got to the castle, I was like blown away when I first played that. Because it's like, oh, the music is like way different. Oh, the enemies are different. Oh, all these things are really like cool. Now when I was going over this year, it was like, okay, I do like the castle still more than the boat, but it's just the boss fights don't feel as like the Zangetsu boss was the only one so far that was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is rad. Then when you go to the rainbow glass one, it's like, oh, all right, it's just a monster.
You, you know, it's funny because I don't even really remember the fight with the rainbow glass monster. I think I might have just killed it so fast. Like there
Yeah,
wasn't anything like
because I don't think
compelling about
because I don't even think it was meant to be a boss. I think it's just I don't know. It just had this. It didn't have a presence of a normal enemy, but it didn't have a presence of like a bigger enemy. It's this weird middle ground of an enemy. And then like in my first run with it, I had like low health, so I was like, oh, I'll just die here, whatever. At least I know where to go, whatever. The enemy glitched out on me and went through the floor and stayed there for the longest time. So I was just like kind of wailing on it. And then I had the dumb idea to use magic, and it knocked it out of the floor. I was like, oh, I could have cheesed it all the way through to get it, but I mean, but I guess it was for the better anyway, because I would have been killed on the way back probably.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that about the enemies because there's such a weird like challenge with some of them. Like you see those big like humanoid lion, like the anthropomorphic lions
Yeah,
with the big swords. They're
yeah,
so easy to kill. Like they're one of the easiest enemies to fight. Like I have a tougher time with the plants on the ground.
yeah.
It's like they have
The other ones was like there's that the enemy that curses you. It's that big like huge monster thing. And that was
Mhm.
the only enemy that was like, oh, this feels like this could be a boss fight, but it's like, no, he's just a normal enemy. He's just there. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Then
I don't
the other weird enemies is these little wheels with like human feet. Like I like how they like
it's tethered to the ground, right?
yeah, like the enemies are kind of dumb, but I do appreciate the dumb designs that they went with. Like they have a fucking demon cat just chilling in
Yeah,
this one
that's
hallway.
hilarious.
It's like
It just lights
I,
fires on you.
yeah, I like the idea that they just decided to go gonzo with the enemies. Like all these Castlevania games or Castlevania like games go with like typical oh succubus, vampire,
Yeah.
oh zombie. This is like okay, cat that has horns. Oh, this one's gonna be like a wheel with human feet. Oh, this one's gonna be this dude that's like crawling all over the place. It's like oh this is like so gonzo and weird. Like there's these sheep enemies that just poof up as like the and I think they call Puma Puma and that shit for some reason was making me think of like Persona and Yakuza with like a Dragon has this mini game where you're in a movie theater and you're just the whole point is to stay awake during a movie and you're just knocking out sheepmen to stay awake. And I was just thinking of that when I saw them. I was like, oh hell yeah. Same thing with like and also Catherine. Catherine also has sheep in it. Uh
Oh, right. Isn't Catherine all about being asleep or something?
yeah. Well, it is
In a
during when you're
dream world?
sleeping. Yeah, you're dreaming. Yeah, yeah. It's. I guess it's like it must be a Japanese folklore thing with sheep. There has to be something there. I mean, I don't like sheep in dreams is
Maybe.
like everywhere, but I mean, there has to be something more to
Right.
it.
Yeah, it's a very specific design. It's got, like, the coiled up horns and stuff like that, or the you know what I'm talking about? Like, the
Yeah,
ear is like the coil.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen that
yeah.
design in a lot of places, so might be the same thing.
Well,
Um,
I guess it's
I
a.
don't
Well, anyway, what were
I
you
don't
saying?
wanna give away any enemies that you haven't seen yet, but there's one enemy that's super annoying that is a very direct reference to something else.
Oh god.
Have
What?
you seen it yet? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh, no. But
If you haven't seen it yet, you're very close to it.
what would I recognize it from something I played, or is it like
Oh, yeah. No, it's very obvious.
okay?
I won't say anything about it. We'll talk about it next time.
I
Um,
always wanted to just be like, no, tell me.
no, you'll see it. You'll see it very soon. Um, and another funny enemy that you haven't seen yet because it's I've just saw it recently, but it like you attack it and it goes, "How could you?" And it's like, "'Cause you're trying to kill me, you psycho. Like, what are you doing?"
It reminds me of the customization guy, Todd, where he's like saying like, "Oh, I'm cursed with these scissors. I can't. I don't want to kill anyone or whatever." It's like, why don't you just take them off? I die. Duh. It's
Yeah.
like, or it's so then why would I want you to cut my hair? Well, if I cut you very good, like you'll get it was this weird back and forth between him and Miriam. I was just like, oh, okay. And it isn't like her with her just saying like, okay, I get
But
it.
yeah, if I was her, that's the worst deal ever. He's like, "Yeah, I'll cut your hair, but if I do it wrong, you die." And he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna take that risk."
But then he's like, well, you can always kill me if you want or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, good deal.
Yeah, she was like She's like, yeah, I definitely could kill you. Yeah.
Like the dialogue is really I do like the lot of the writing of it. I think to a point it knows it's kind of campy and it just kind of
Yeah.
capitalizes on that. Like it's like Evil Dead shit. Like Evil Dead 2 is just like, okay, we know we're campy, fuck it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go overboard.
I do appreciate that the story doesn't take itself that seriously. Like, it's like the scenes don't, because like they could very easily play out way too long. But it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, here's this thing, we're just establishing this, see you later. And then you get to play for like 2 hours. So,
Yeah, and I think like, and that also goes in with the names. I think the names are intentionally kind of weird. Like Miriam is such a weird name to give a main character. Like it
yeah,
sounds like an old lady. Like oh, Granny Miriam is coming to town. Then they have like
absolutely.
Jebel. It's like the Book of Leviath. It's like these what are the fucking names?
Jebel is the worst villain name ever.
Yeah.
It's the only villain name that I think is worse than that is from Final Fantasy X. Actually, you probably didn't get this far because you hated it. But one of the main villains in Final Fantasy X, his name is just Seymour. It's like Seymour. What the fuck is this?
There's a there's a in End of Ava and Ava. There's this weapon that is like this big like sought after weapon that everyone wants to get. It's like because it like stabs. They use it to kind of keep in check this the first angel in the whole universe. Like okay, we got him. We pinned him down with the Spear of Longinus. So like they throw the spear in space for whatever fucking reason. They do that the whole time. It in End of Ava and a little bit in Ava, like shit's going on, very serious, and then everyone just straight face like the Spear of Longinus is coming down. What are we gonna fucking do? They're gonna have the Spear of Longinus. It's just like that has to be something that they wrote just to be like, hey, we're just gonna go fucking goofy with it. But I also think it's also like a religious thing as well. Because I think Longinus is another. There's a lot of religious connections with fucking Ava for some reason.
It sounds so stupid though.
Yeah, it's just. But everyone gets angry about the dub on Netflix because they're like, well, in the original dub, it's Longinus. But in Netflix, they say Longinus. But I was watching Justice League the other day, and they said Longinus as well, so... I mean, two things. I mean, come on. One thing is made in America, and they say Longinus. So it's clearly not a translation or dub issue. It's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah, so figure
Deal
that
with
part out. Have you been using any familiar shards?
I've not.
Or have you not yet?
I've not
You haven't
gotten.
got that yet?
That's what was also driving me crazy because I only got like the normal shards you start out with, and I'm like, oh, there's a passive shard, familiar shards. Like, where are these shards? I don't have any. Can I buy some? I was like, I was like, what? Where are the point? What's the point of this? I found one and one of them I found was the passive to make the mace and short swords stronger, and then I found one that was. I didn't understand what it was talking about because it was like seemed like you could turn this off whenever you want or something, and it was just I don't get it. It's like
was it like the shortcut thing?
Yeah, the shortcut. Because I tried using that, and then it just unequips my weapons. Like what's the point?
Yeah, I haven't figured that out yet, but I think you're supposed to like set up some presets or something. I don't know. I haven't really tried it yet. I really have been neglecting all of like the special systems and just been playing the game straight up.
Yeah, I think the systems are there just for added content to it. I think it's going to be more beneficial like on second runs or if you're trying to do like a harder run maybe.
I don't know. I think if you really try to optimize it, it'll probably make things way better. I bet there's like so much equipment that I'm foregoing because I'm not using it. I might actually. I'm just like deep in this certain area, and I just got a new ability that's making me be able to explore so much more of the castle that I'm like excited to explore. But I think once I get sick of that, I'm gonna go back and see what kind of things I can craft because I do definitely want to try some new weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know I'm gonna have to like really get deep into the crafting to figure it out, which I'm not really excited about. I like to just play the action parts. You know what I mean?
It's it's kind of like how I feel like JRPGs. at first
Mhm.
because a lot of it is going through menus and deciding like, oh, do I want to buff, do I want to debuff this or whatever, and even when I played Persona 5, I never did the buffs or debuffs for any enemies or for my team or anything. So it's like it made the game way harder than it needed to be. And
Right.
also, like, since Personas have stats as well, and I never really looked at that either. When I was playing like Persona 3, it really helped me going through
Wait a
the.
second. Wait a second. This is why you're not. That's why you didn't do well. The whole point of the persona, your stats are dependent on the persona you have equipped.
Well, I was looking at. Okay. When I played Persona 5 the very first time, maybe the beginning, maybe near the end, I started to look a little bit more deeper into what I was fusing, but for the most part, I was just looking for which one looks cooler to fuse, and that was that was it. I was like, oh, this one looks rad. Hell yeah, let's do that.
Do you understand that you can merge two personas and they'll be half the level? You know that, right?
I think I didn't. I think I did look at that as well. I like very like superficial shit, like the most base level shit I looked at, because I think I also looked at what what to choose through the inheritance as well. But I didn't look at like the stats. I didn't look at like maybe at most I was looking at for what they're weak to. But I didn't look for what they repelled. I didn't look for what they're strong for, or what like those kind of ailments I didn't look at. Then I played Persona 3 and I was like, oh, I should be looking at like what they repel because that helped me a lot through these bullshit enemies. And then in Persona 5 Royal, that helped me as well because this one boss fight got me into this like one-on-one fight. So it's like, all right, he's doing all these insta-kill attacks. I had this one that would either drain or repel. So I was just going this one-on-one fight that was like, all right, he's gonna do this. I'll repel it. Next turn, I'll just hit it, smack him, then block for the other one that's like a heavier attack that he does. And I was just doing this, so it was a very long fight, but I did it through that. But with this game, with Bloodstained, I think I just mostly spent most of my I might drop the farming because I think the only thing that's good for farming is if you wanted to craft recovery items or whatever. But other than that, it's like, all right, I think I'll just do the side mission stuff. That I like a little bit more. Like, oh, kill this many enemies or whatever. Like that stuff was actually like kind of fun to kind of find. I mean, the only thing I did farm like potatoes to see what that was gonna give us because I think they also said like if you eat meals, they might give you more of a stat increase as well. I think it's like kind of the same logic that like River City does a lot as well. Like even River City Girls does this. Like if you go to a shop, if you buy something for the first time, it levels up your character even more. So you always want to go to these stores.
You know, it's actually that's more common than that too. Like Yakuza does that. Like you go eat a meal and you get stat boosts.
I didn't
at least experience points to spend.
I never did it in Yakuza 6 and 1 or 0 because I didn't think about the restaurants because I was like, well, I'm getting XP if I just beat up thugs. I'll just do that. That's way more fun. But in 7, in Like a Dragon, that one's actually more fun to do because you get story like dialogue with the party. I think you mentioned how you don't like Persona 4 because it's the RPG is kind of bullshit. You might like a Dragon way more because that one even is so good.
I have to play that game. I think I'm going. I think it's probably going to be one of my favorite games.
It's kind of like a love letter to Dragon Quest too. Like if you like Dragon Quest, this game like the main character keeps referencing like, oh yeah, I'm like a Dragon Quest character. Hell yeah! Like oh shit.
Yeah, I'm very excited to play Like a Dragon. Because once I found out, because I was like watching, I was like, wait, he's like fighting with just like random people from the street. And I found out it was a turn-based RPG. I'm like, oh baby, let's go.
Yeah, so like that one got me to do the restaurants way more because it's like, oh, if I buy this, like maybe like because you get a bond level as well. Like you do, there are like S links in the game as well, but it's like it's a little more limited, which I wish it because in Persona it's like up to 10 ranks you could do for the S links. Here it's like only 4, and it's like I wish there were more because I love the stories, I love the party members, and it's like. Right when you get like, oh, I want to do more, it's like you could beat that in like the first half of the game. It's like, oh, all right, but but yeah, like so I see like a lot more games now that I'm like kind of getting into these systems more. Like it's interesting going through these games like Bloodstained, Yakuza, and Persona like that, or things that have things that I didn't appreciate at all through games because I just kind of want to go through straight to the meat. Like I just want to just play and just kind of go
Yeah,
through it. Like that's why I probably like Mario a lot and Zelda, Devil May Cry. Like Devil May Cry is such a simple upgrade system. It's like, all right, this will be level 2. You want that? It's like, okay,
yeah,
sure. Or you just
yeah.
get it automatically. It's like,
Which actually I'm way more of a fan of. I'm really not like I don't like how these action games are incorporating all this like RPG elements, as they say. It's just
yeah.
like just make a good action game. Go
I
fuck yourself with this
I think
bullshit.
what every fucking game added skill trees, like
Yeah,
tainted
it's like stop
everything.
it.
It's like
Yeah,
the same thing with like open world. Like every game was like, oh guys, we have an open world now. You can do whatever you want. It's like
yeah,
okay, like I don't not like because everyone hates linear games, but there's nothing wrong with linear games either. Like it's just
I completely agree.
there has to be
Um,
like a balance, and I think that's what like this game does kind of well. It's linear, but it also has like hidden areas. Like there was an enemy, there was like a side mission that I only went through by chance. Like I was just kind of exploring. I saw this one guy's like, oh, I can't find my way home. What can I do? And it's like, oh, just
yeah,
give him the waystone. All right. It's like,
yeah,
like I do like even like Todd. You could go through that game without meeting him. There's a part in the castle that's like a blood pool, and there's like a tunnel to go down, but I don't know how to get down. I know there's something you have to do.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you figured it out because I'm pretty sure um you're gonna need some ability to get down there.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
that too. Is either that or like I was thinking maybe like you have to like there's a chandelier as well. Maybe the chandelier goes. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it
I
could.
guess you know, I'm
Maybe it's like
sure
a
we'll figure it
socket.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll figure it out later. But back to what you were saying about linear games. The thing that bothers me the most about like the skill tree thing is that like in old games, like even Castlevanias that are like there's Castlevania games that are just completely linear, and it's like you beat the level, you go on to level 2. You go on to level 3, 4, 5 until you beat the game. And it's like you are the same character in the beginning of the game that you are at the end of the game. So it's like I just feel like games like that, it's like you just get better at the game and you're just good enough to beat that last level.
Yeah.
Whereas with all these games with like skill trees and stuff, like even Yakuza, it's like you have to level up your character to beat the game. Like someone could potentially beat the game just with the base level character somehow, but like it's not designed to be beaten that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like
Whereas the old games are designed that's like you start out this character and you train yourself to get better to the point where you can beat that last level.
and I
You know what I
think
mean?
yeah, there's that, and then it's like you have no game scales to what you're doing. Like you get all
Right,
these
exactly.
abilities, and they never scale to that. It's like oh, okay, so then like at least with like Devil May Cry, you could get skills for some weapons or whatever, and some of those can like are perfect answers for certain enemy pairings. Like there's
Right,
enemies that can go through the walls or whatever. It's like, all right, well, if I have like an area of an effect attack with a weapon, that'd be perfect for that. Or like with Nero, he has all these like cool like robot arms. It's like, all right, well, this one is gonna be flying around. I'll just throw my arm to that thing and then just beat this other enemy at the same time. Like there's these cool like combinations you could do. Well, like a lot of these AAA games, you just kind of like, well, you can now do this. Well, the enemies does some more. It's like that's like, what's the
That's
point?
exactly what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, it's the challenge is now. Oh, the enemies have more health. It's like, okay, you haven't made the game any harder. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
just
just
made it so I
bullshit.
now have to upgrade stuff so I can do the same thing I was doing before.
And a
But I'm
lot of
not
these
any better at the game now.
yeah,
Um,
because a lot of these upgrades just feel like they're designed to break the game. Like, oh,
kind of.
I mean, not like, yeah, kind of. I mean, it's not like, oh, you could just kind of go God mode automatically. But it's still like these some games that they're designed that you would think like this would be kind of cheap, but it's like, well, no. Now the enemies is gonna be more of them. It's like,
Right. It's the thing is, so perfectly way to encapsulate this is that in an older game, the first level is just as challenging when you're at the end. Like if you finish the game and you replay it again, the first level is just as challenging. But it's like with all these upgrade systems, it's like you go back to the first level and it's just easy as fuck because you just have all these upgrades.
Yeah.
So it's like you haven't gotten better at the game. You just have more abilities, and the game hasn't really gotten harder.
I kind of feel like I'm falling into this trap because I love what I usually do when I play games is I play on normal just to get the story and some and challenge, but I just want to like kind of experience it first, and then I just do New Game Plus. And since most games like your skills transfer over, I do like all right hard mode. Let's see what I do, and it's like
yeah, you just have all this shit.
Yeah, I kind of negate the thing. Which is funny in Persona 5 Royal, they remix a lot of the boss fights in the from the base game. So they change a lot of the phases, they change a lot of stuff, which I do like. A lot of them were changed for the better, but this one boss, it's the seventh, I think, boss fight. It's a space dude, whatever. In the first game, it's like, oh right, you have 10 minutes to beat him. You have to kind of go through all these phases before the timer runs out, or it's insta kill. Like you just lose that immediately. So that was rough because you have to go through all these waves of enemies, and you have to know their weakness, and you have to know what they do, and they don't tell you in the fight at all. Like you have to memorize their weakness. So like if you don't have, so you either have to do an all-out attack on all of them, whatever. And it was like frustrating, but fine. In Royal, they made that fight so much worse and much more bullshit that I was like getting fucking mad. I was doing it on hard this time around with like this plain because Royal does not carry anything over from vanilla at all. The only thing that it will like register is like, oh, you have vanilla, you'll just get more. They give you something, but it's nothing that will break the game. But so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do this. But this, so I'm on hard, and I almost was like, I was so close to just dropping the game entirely and just watching the whole thing on YouTube to see what's different, whatever, because it. And then I was like, well, I'll just look up at how people beat it. And every single walkthrough I read, and I was like, I couldn't believe what it was telling me. It was like, alright, well, what you want to do in this fight is bump the difficulty up to Merciless. I was like, Merciless is the hardest difficulty in the game. Like, you have to download that difficulty. It's like the hardest one. And I was like, why would I want to do that? And it's like, well, you want to do that, so like if you like land their weakness, it'll be like insane damage because the difficulty just buffs weakness damage. So it's like, all right, I'll do that, and then I also like kind of try to get as many elemental attack items as I could because the bullshit area about that fight is like you can have like 4 enemies. And 3 of them could be like weak to psychic attacks, and then 1 could be weak to like nuclear. And you might not have a nuke party member in your team. You might have a persona that has that, whatever. And it's like if any of these things are in short, you're fucked. And it's like because if one of them runs away, you have to start the whole wave again. So it's like you lose no matter what, and it's like it's so fucking shitty, and everyone hates this boss fight, and it's like they made it worse in Royal. And it's like, and then it's like also the Royal, like the final boss fight in that. It's also the first phase of that. It's bullshit, but after that, it's like easy. It's like some of these boss fights and then Royal are semi bullshit, but it's that kind of shit that's like, I like doing harder stuff as well, but with Persona it's like sometimes it's like I don't care. Like the RNG is already bullshit. Like you could be like insane, you have insane stats, the game could still fuck you up with any RNG bullshit that it wants to give you. It's like, oh, alright, insta kill, you're dead. It's like, oh, cool. Like they can do anything at this point because like it's because there's also a mechanic because in Persona 5 they made the dungeons more like dungeons. It's not like in 4 where it's like you're just going up levels and levels and doing like semi-puzzly shit. This one's like, alright, it's actually like a dungeon. You do have to solve puzzles in them. You do have to do some stuff in there. But since there are also thieves in the game, there's an alert system as well. So the more higher the alert system, the harder the enemies will get, the more populated they'll be, and all this stuff. So they do kind of scale with how well you do at sneaking. as well. So
Mhm.
it's interesting in that regard. So there is like so that adds to more RNG bullshit as well. It's like you can get caught by a camera, an alarm system, whatever. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But
Um, you know what has an interesting new game plus is you ever played Chrono Trigger?
no,
Chrono Trigger.
no. I want to.
Um,
I like.
you should definitely play it because one of the funnest things you can do is so there's different endings depending on how you play through the game, right? I think there's like 8 different endings.
Oh wow.
But one of the best things you can do is you can beat the game, right? And then you can start a new game plus and then immediately go to the last boss.
Oh, dude.
Because the game has to do with time travel and shit. So you start the game again and you have all your levels and you're just like, all right, I'm going to go straight to the last boss and just beat the game again.
Have you ever played? I think I might have asked you this before, but have you played Nier Automata?
I'm in the middle of that. I'm
Ah.
like halfway through it. But I have to play. I have to pick it up again.
Are you on like the second campaign run, or are you
No,
still?
I haven't even beaten the first one
Ah,
yet.
okay. Because there's
Why?
there's a like I've been replaying that game, and there's this one part that's like it's when you first play it's fun because it's like you're experiencing new stuff with it, and it changes. But when you play through the whole game on normal, then you try to play it again. Once I get to that part, it's like I kind of have no motivation to do it because it gets a little bit repetitive. Like once you beat it the first time, it's like okay, like I get it. But
Mhm.
it's just it makes any other run you want to do just kind of like I don't know. I don't know if I want to continue because the third run is the best run, and I hate that it is. I hate it that it is because there's these cool ass fucking enemies that are like that are rough. It's like oh you're fighting like other like robots that are like sword wielders and they do all this cool like ass dodge shit and it's like oh I wish there was more of this and it's like no this is at the
Yeah,
end it's like oh cool like
yeah. I think this game, Nier has the same. Well, Nier Automata is that how you say it?
it's like
Whatever.
automata whatever
I
tomato
know it's like a huge series, but I only know about that game because it's by Platinum, and I'm a really big fan of Platinum. But like I think it has the same problem where it's like there's this upgrade system and you're not getting any better at the game. You're just getting levels. So like after you play it once, it's like why play it again? Because it's like not the same challenge. It's just like, oh, I'm
well
gonna level.
well it's funny because when you do on hard they change the game completely on you it's like all right you can't lock on there's no auto heal there's none of this like it does throw some like wrenches in what you'd expect for a new game plus because
Mhm.
I was like a good level when I beat it on normal the first time and when it went on hard it was like bodying me it's like oh I can't go on because I think it also might mm, I don't know necessarily if your levels do carry over but it might I don't know it has a weird mechanic as well because at the end of the game just straight up asks you do you want to delete your file and it's like what? It's like,
What?
well, if you delete your file, it's gonna because it's this mechanic. It's this whole it goes with the theme of like, well, if you delete your save file, you're kind of helping other players out with it. But if you keep your file, you're fucking other people up. I don't know. It's this weird interconnected world because you find these dead android bodies, and those are actual
Uh-huh.
players that you can summon or whatever.
Right.
And then I also
Oh, so if you delete your file, it puts those bodies out.
yeah. So if you don't delete it, you
Oh,
you don't share. Now there was this one time in this game. So on normal, I think it kind of defaults because there's an RNG when you repair one of those android bodies that it might turn on you or it could work with you. On normal, I think it
right.
favors siding with you. So it's like okay, you repair it's gonna work with you fine. On hard, it's like no, they can because I summoned one not thinking about it at Pascal's village. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
all right, this one's summoned. Oh, this one hates you. You gotta fight it. It's like, what? I was like, I was like going to Pascal's shop, and it's like, all right, it's gonna beat the shit out of you. It's like, oh fuck. So I was like fighting it, and as it's going on, it's killing all the robots there,
Oh no.
and it's like all these like it was right after the cutscene. It's like, we're not gonna hurt you. We're cool. We love you guys. It's like, yeah. And it's like,
Please,
all right,
please.
yeah, and he just kills all of them. It's like, no.
Yeah. But so I haven't really done that a lot, resurrecting the bodies.
I did
But if
that
you
just.
resurrect them, but if you kill them, it's actually good because you get a lot of experience, though, right?
I guess. I mean, you could either they give you like two options, and like you can either inherit what they have equipped or whatever.
Yeah.
It's true, but I just gotta repair them just to be like, I want to see how easy it makes the game. Because it's like
Right.
I love when games offer these kind of things, and it didn't really make the game any easier because half the time the boss would just kind of just kill them immediately and just kind of blow through them. Like it's like okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Death Stranding has an interesting mechanic as well with that. Like the whole world is built off like you can build roads for other people in the game. Like it just drops you in a server. So there's
Mhm.
one part of the game. So yeah, so there's enemies like there are BTs that you can't see. But the baby that you're carrying can sense them better. So you have these silhouettes that you whatever. There's a part of the game where the baby needs to be repaired or whatever. Like, oh, the tank's malfunctioning, it has to be fixed. So you have to do all these deliveries without the baby with you. So it makes the BTs way harder to detect, way harder to find, and it is a big pain in the ass. That part of the game is so fucking hard. Like it's like this is insane. But someone in the game made these like zip lines. They went around all the BTs that made it way easier. And I was like, dude, whoever made this like made the game way
Oh,
easier.
right. You could just take that.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it goes right through all the BTs, and it's like, and you could also like people's creations. Like if they build a road or whatever, you can like what they do. So I'm like, and I see these zip lines. Like this dude is probably gonna end the game with like 1,000,000 fucking likes because it
Yeah.
saves you so much of a hassle.
But it's like, so it's cool. But the thing about that is like, it's basically game breaking. Like someone
Well,
broke the game for you.
well, it is and it isn't because the zip lines do have a limit. Like you can only go so far. It can only go on certain locations. You can't just put it just everywhere. Because there are times where I still had to go through some BTs to get to those zip lines as well. It just made it less because instead of it like being like this much of an area to go through, it was like this much of an area. And it's like I can handle that, but it's just it is so nerve wracking to be like, all right, I'm sneaking. I ran into a BT and now I have to run. Now they can go right under you. It's like it's rough. The one mechanic I do like in that game is it actually tells you because like you don't they don't ever give you a gun, but all these enemies have guns. So at most you can like either tase them, rope them, whatever. The game eventually gives you a gun, and it's like, oh, cool, I can kill them now. Hell yeah! And the game is like, well, if you kill them, then they'll become a BT area if you do that. So like, I feel like half the BTs that you run into are dead bodies that you might run into.
Oh, like someone
Fucked up and they caused that. But I don't know if it's that deep though. But
so someone could screw you over basically.
yeah, I think it's just I don't know if that goes in everyone's server or if it's just your own game. That part is the only thing I'm not clear with. But with the zip lines, the road constructions, that stuff, that is all connected to the internet. Like you can see. So the other thing that's kind of funny is if you press the touchpad, Sam will be like, "Hello, can anyone hear me?" And then someone might respond, "Hi, I'm Sam too." It's like, oh, okay, like because everyone is Norman Reedus.
I haven't played the game, so I don't really know what it's like. So
yeah, well,
I only know from what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's a good game, but it's a game that's like very hard to recommend because it's like you'll either be on board with it or you'll be like, "Fuck, this is stupid." I talked to Jency about it, who played it, and he's like, "Yeah, I love the beginning. It's great. Oh, I did a lot of side missions and I carry all these packages, and then the BTs fucked me over, so I stopped playing the game." It's like, oh, okay, like it's like once you do else because you get so easily over encumbered, everything's so convoluted that it's like it just fucks you over. And I was like, well, the game, you get this exoskeleton. Once you get that, it's like then you can do like these crazy deliveries. Like you could stack like tons of packages at that point. before that, it's like, yeah, you're asking for trouble. Like, there's one time I was going through a river. I fell. All my packages went down river, and I couldn't save them. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Have you seen do you watch Video Game Donkey?
yeah, I've seen him.
Have you seen his video on it? He hates that game.
You know, it's funny to me that there's because a lot of people like give him a lot of shit because he has a lot. He does a lot of stuff that pisses people off. Like, it's like, oh, why does he hate Octopath Traveler? He doesn't like RPGs. Why would he play one? It's like,
Yeah.
well, and I think a lot of people just don't look at it like, well, he just wants to experience these games, and it's like, if he doesn't like it, he doesn't like it, whatever. I think it's just that a lot of times that he's so antagonistic with his videos that a lot of people like kind of get a little like peeved with it. So it's with Donkey, I see like both sides. Like, I see why people might not like his videos. Like, it's like, okay, like, I get it, you don't like the game, like, whatever. But I do like it. Like, with Death Stranding is like is like a video I think is a little bullshit because he was doing a lot of bullshit things. They're like, this bike, it can't go up the. He's pretty much like going up a mountain like with a bike. It's like, of course it ain't gonna work. You're going up a fucking mountain with a bike, like.
But that's the thing. It does work. That's why he's complaining. He's like,
no,
can I go up a mountain with this bike?
He does it. He can't. He falls off and it's like, oh, I can't do it. Stupid game. It's like,
I don't know. I might have to rewatch it because I remember watching it and be like, this is really fucked up.
There's something he does that's like bullshit. It's like,
he does fuck around a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
like, I mean, I get I get why he doesn't like it as well. Like, I wouldn't say his criticisms are completely off, but it's just some of the criticisms. Some of it, it's like I don't know. This one is a little stupid for him to complain about, but the gist of it, like, I get, because I do think that like having to balance of the two triggers to keep your balance as you're walking. Some of the stuff is this kind of needless. It's this debate with a lot of games. Like, it's the same debate that people had with Resident Evil, with the top-down camera and tank controls. Well, that added to the intensity. That made it horror. And it's like, well, I mean, the controls suck. I mean, why not just have normal controls like any other game?
I don't agree that the controls suck.
I think the tank controls suck.
I think the tank controls are good.
No,
Yeah.
Dude, I played fucking RE2 and I was like, all right, there's a zombie there. I want to go this way, and it's like I have to aim the character to go this way and just move this. It's like, why? And then half the time, it's like the camera fucks me over. I go into a 360 half the time, and that takes time away. It's like, just let me move.
You do realize, technically, RE4 is tank controls too.
Yeah, but I have more control over where I'm going. It's not like, okay, like. It's because the camera moves with you. Like, it's not because it's not disjointed. Where in Resident Evil 2 or 1, it's like the camera stays in one place and moves whenever it wants to, or if you go around the corner and it's like, all right, this way. Oh, I'm going back to the other corner. All right, this way. It's like no bullshit.
The thing about that though is that you're still gonna go in the direction that you're going. I think it makes
sense. But when there's zombies, and you want to stop moving, it throws you off. Like, it's just the nuance of it when it's like these specific issues that I have with it get in the way. Like, it's stuff that not everyone would find an issue with because
no. I understand why you have a problem with it, but like for some reason it makes sense to me. Like,
yeah.
You back your character up. Like, it makes sense.
But that's
Resident Evil 3 makes it, because there's a quick turn. It makes everything. There's a quick turn and there's a dodge.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going between 2 and 3, and with 2, I was like, okay, this is kind of hard. Whatever. I played 3 and it was like way easier, and I was like, oh, cool. This is like a fun game now. I'm like, like, it was more my speed, but then I dropped it and I never went back to it. I played the remake though, and that was whatever.
I think Resident Evil 2 and 3 are absolutely brilliant.
I feel like the remake doesn't do 3 justice because I didn't
play the remake of 3. I heard it was like a 2-hour game.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I mean, the base game was also like short as well, like the original. The only thing
Yeah,
with the original it throws in is like different scenarios. Like, oh, do you want to do this or do that? The remake removes that, which is like, I
yeah,
think that was a dumb decision to make. But uh, but as I was saying, like I brought up Resident Evil because with Death Stranding and these kind of games, like there's these game designs that are just kind of like that kind of are debatable. Like, oh, is this the point of the game? Like, does this like add to it, or is it just some bullshit that's like this could be streamlined? Like, there's no reason, no excuse for this. Like, because there's the menu system with Death Stranding is like all like these convoluted directional pad menus and all this stuff, and it's like, well, it could be argued that this was all intentional because you're a delivery man, and it's supposed to replicate
yeah.
like how like monotonous and tough that it is to carry all these packages and like thinking because like in life like you could be carrying all these packages and just still be like falling over and be like, oh, I have to carry all these like pizzas to all these houses or whatever. But it's like at the same time you're just sitting there thinking like, does it have to be this way? It's like,
They should, they should make a pizza delivery game based on the Death Stranding
well,
engine.
it pretty much is to be completely
Pizza
honest.
deliveries.
Because there is actually I just remember there is a pizza delivery mission in the game. There's a mission that's like, God, hey, I want you to find me a pizza pie. It's like, all right, and you deliver to somewhere else. It's like, oh, cool. Like, I like the delivery system. I do like it's this cool like zen about it. The only thing I just don't like about Death Stranding is you can't New Game Plus the game at all. Like
Mhm.
once you beat it, it's like okay, the game like this resets you back to this point where it's like, all right, well if you want to beat the game again, you can just select the mission. Otherwise, just do all the side missions you want, whatever. And it's like, what if I just want to go through the whole story again? Like it's like the same issue I have with MGS5, where it's like some cutscenes are just locked behind like arbitrary things that you can never replicate again. And it's like, oh,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's
So back to
whatever.
Bloodstained. We might want to call this soon. So
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
Blood. What are you gonna do next? Like, where do you think your path is?
I just rode that carriage to go to the next area, and I immediately saved after that because I didn't want to go any further. I was like, I'll just save here and just continue on from there. See where that takes me. So I think I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep going in that new castle area I unlocked. With that
Yeah.
because I just found a teleport area there.
Right.
So
Right. And I'm glad you said something about those waypoints because I always thought I had to find a green, like the teleport
yeah.
painting or whatever, but I didn't realize I could use the waypoints to do
Well,
that
the
too.
waypoint's a one-way trip.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, I
But
mean, it's still good. Like, if you just
yeah,
want to like get out of a pinch immediately, like I don't care, like if I have to go through all this shit again, but I'm like low on health and I just need to go back to someplace safe.
yeah, which is a good point too. I could have saved a lot of time. I think I'd be a lot farther in the game if I had realized that. So that's a good thought. Um,
But there's also
so
that greed. It's like a lot of these games, like Bloodstained and Persona, like they kind of fuck with your like. It's a lot of like risk reward. Like even Persona 3, it's a lot of that. It's like you could risk going through Tartarus all the way up as much as you want, or
mhm,
die and then lose all those experience, all those XP points, all those fusions, whatever. You lose all of that.
yeah.
But it might be worth the reward because you get all the way to the top and it's like, oh, I got all this stuff that I got and it's perfect. But
But it's like it almost like based on what you just said, it's like almost never worth it. It's just like get out of there, save, and you can always go back.
yeah. But
You know what I mean?
but like but you could also argue like, hey, if you take the risk and continue on, you go so far in the castle, then find a save room happenstance, or find a fast travel. Like it is like a risky thing, and it's probably more favorable to go back when you can.
Right. And it's like I almost I almost got so pissed because the latest ability I got, I missed 2 save rooms. Like
Oh,
right before I got to the boss, I was on critical health. And I was like, I'm fucked. And I somehow powered through the boss, like just dodged really well and beat the boss. And like if I had taken a right instead of a left, I would have been in a save room.
oh yeah,
And
dude.
I was like sweating. I was like, "Ah!" And I beat it, like luckily.
That happened to me like before the Zangetsu fight. Like I got all these cool weapons And like I found that like cool. I can't remember now when this happened, but I was like, oh shit, I died. I was like, I lost all that, and then I did the same thing again, didn't get to whatever. And I found down there is like a fucking teleport room. I could have saved so much time,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
because I was walking all like. Oh, I remember. Now I remember. It was like I was doing this in Gensu Fight so many times. I was like, I need to go back to the inventory spot. I need to go back to the castle. I didn't have any fast travel there, so I was like, all right, I guess I have to walk all the way back, and it was such a pain in the ass. I hated it. I was like, I have to do this the whole time, and then I went there and by happenstance I was like, I looked at the map. I was like, oh, there's a room up there on top of the village. What's in there? It's like, oh, it's a fast travel. I was like. Are you fucking kidding me? There's a fast travel there. I never saw that. I was like,
yeah,
that drove me up the wall. I was like, that could have saved me so many like tears.
yeah. Well, that'll be good. That'll help me get. I think both of us will probably benefit from that thought of just like stay safe.
Yeah, yeah.
Like and save. So that'll make it a lot easier to continue through.
And so,
you know what's really frustrating to me right now in the game is there's 2 places where you can go underwater, but clearly there's like a swimming ability I don't have yet. Oh, you haven't seen this yet? There's 2 places where you
I've only saw the one where like in the first castle area where there's that blood pool.
Okay, yeah.
Like you could go down, like you could just go down in one specific area, but I think that's just a socket for something. Because I don't think that's a room. I think I'll just see. I'll just fuck around.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You didn't. So you missed the secret area. That's kind of obvious. I'm surprised. You should go back to the entrance of the castle. There's a secret area you haven't seen.
There's a few areas I want to check because I think there's another area that has like that statue you have to move with that power up.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find that once I got that power up. I was trying to look for it and I couldn't remember where it was. I was like, I'll go back to it. I'll find it. You know, next time I load up the game, I'm gonna go around a little bit before I go to the new area.
I actually think I'm gonna play right now too, a little bit before bed. But yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else? Anything you want to get off your chest or anything?
I've talked a lot. I mean, if there's anything you want to get off your chest.
Not really.
So how far you were in the game? How many hours?
I've been 3:07, 3 hours and 7 minutes, and I'm in level 19.
All right, so I'm like an hour behind you.
Yeah, you'll probably catch up to me pretty soon.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
where you go, because like I said, I went to an entire pathway. You know, I just realized that I probably was under-leveled when I went there, and that's why I had such a tough time with it. Because I clearly didn't have abilities I needed to access certain areas, but I still fought through it, and I was getting my ass kicked, and that's where I like had a tough time. I was too low of a level to be where I was.
Yeah.
But I still fought through it, so it'll be even better when I go back again. Yeah. I do want to say, last time we talked, you were making fun of Ninja Theory. And there's a game I wanted to play that they made that maybe isn't that good because of what you said. It's called Enslaved Odyssey to the West. I think you might have mentioned it last time.
Yeah, that game looked so ugly. I didn't like. I have no interest. Like I saw that and I was like, nah, no.
I've heard a lot of good things about it though.
Maybe I don't know because like I did watch like a very like critical like video of it and I was like, oh, this game is fucking trash. I used to watch a lot of Zero Punctuation.
Oh yeah,
and now like that is like I stopped watching his videos. It's just I got so tired of this fucking gimmick. It's like oh well, see this game fucking sucks. It's like oh, okay, like
I don't think that's fair to say. I think he always criticizes the games.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's always necessarily saying it's a bad game.
Yeah. I think I'm just dumbing his videos down a lot. But it's just it's like the general attitude. It's like You know, like there was a meme I saw on Twitter that was like, "Oh, this like critic YouTube has been ruined because everyone's been trying to replicate like Angry Video Game Nerd, Nostalgia Critic, like I hate everything."
Yeah.
All these reviewers are very critical and like nitpicky, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people have been trying to kind of be like, well, actually, this game is pretty bad. See the, and it's like, okay, like everyone wants to be like a fucking Roger Ebert.
I will say there are some. I agree that there's some like that, but I think Zero Punctuation is mostly like snarky British humor and
Yeah.
not actual. I think you can tell when he actually likes a game.
Yeah,
Based on what he
that's not to
says.
say that he doesn't like games. I've seen reviews where he praises games. It's just, I just think the overall attitude of just like being overly harsh is just kind of tiring. Because
Yeah,
it's the
I
same
see.
like things I've seen with like people that criticize Donkey for. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, like we get it, like,
yeah.
but
I'm still a fan of Yahtzee with his Zero Punctuation videos, but I see exactly what you're saying. Like he always finds something to make fun of it for,
there
which is
was.
why it's funny though.
Have you ever seen?
'Cause
Have you heard of the YouTuber Your Movie Sucks?
I've heard of him. I think I tried to watch one of his videos and I didn't like it. I think
Yeah,
that was
I used to like his videos. I used to, but then I saw him review A Quiet Place, and that was like, okay, I'm done because like it was such a nitpicky fucking movie. It's like, well, you see, this character's in this ball of wheat of like because a character goes to this like little like bread thing, like this. I don't know, it's whatever. It's like farming something. It's farm place, whatever. He's like, well, he's in here and he would die immediately because like the weight of this is like, okay, no one's going to a quiet place with a fucking chemistry book. Like no one cares. Like the whole movie has like fucking monsters that like operate on like noises. Like
yeah, and that's what ruins your suspension of disbelief.
yeah, like it was just a lot of these nitpicky stuff, and it's like once I saw that review, I couldn't get out of my head with all these other videos of his. It's like all like the only thing I go to him for a little bit is to get a gist of like these indie movies that I might be interested in, and that's it. It's like, oh, he did like a film festival thing. Okay, what movies are there? All right, and that's it. It's like the same thing with Critical as well. I like his videos a little bit, but some of his reviews are just kind of trash. Like he didn't like his review of Devil May Cry 5 was like, well, it's a good game, but it's stupid because like it makes bad jokes. It's like it's a fucking corny game. Like
Yeah, whatever.
yeah,
Who cares? Isn't Devil May Cry the series where Dante like some girl destroys Dante's face with a pizza, and then like
with a bicycle.
He drops his pizza on the ground. Like
Yeah, it's
whatever.
whatever. But it's just that it's just that attitude. It's like it kind of all melts together. I mean, even though like I think like I still like Angry Video Game Nerd because to a point his videos have still kind of improved and it's like it's going for its own thing. Like at least his is a little bit more honest with what he's making.
Yeah, well, his videos are literally just to be like, this game sucks and I'm gonna trash it for an hour.
Yeah,
like,
but it's like it's like an indie trash game that's like okay, like, but it's still like I the production of it I like. I mean, there's some stuff that he does that's a little bit different. Like he did a whole video on Earthbound that was like very like weird. Like which wasn't even trashing that. It was just like, oh well, look at the timeline, it's all fucked up. It's like weird shit. Like oh okay, like I appreciate the Gonzo side of it. Like and his videos are like it ranges from good and bad, and it's like okay, well at least it's like. It's not like Nostalgia Critic where he tried to change his format to be something else and it just fucking fails. Like his videos are just bad.
I don't think I ever watched the Nostalgia Critic.
I used to like
the guy that makes the face where he's like, is that this guy? He goes like this all the time.
I don't know. Like he has
he wears like glasses.
He has glasses. He has like a hat and a red tie.
Yeah, that's the guy I'm talking about. Okay. I think he just his face bothers me, so I never watch his videos.
Yeah, you know, I watched the earlier videos. Like I probably liked it because like low resolution, shitty quality. So it's like okay, whatever. So then once he got like a better camera, it's like oh no like that, and then like he did a whole video like making it a point to be like, I'm done making videos. I'm not gonna be the nostalgia critic anymore. I'm done. And it's like, okay. Everybody he did after that sucked ass. No one liked it, so he went back to being the nostalgia critic. And he started to integrate all these skits. No one likes them. Everyone's like, "Can you stop doing the skits? They suck. They're not funny." And he still does them. And he like what was awful. He did all these like relevant movies. He did Mad Max Fury Road, and it's like I didn't watch it because I didn't get the criticisms he was making. It was bullshit. It was like, all right, we're reenacting the movie. It's like, oh, okay, I don't care. And I left. It was like his videos are just trash. This no, and I don't think anyone does any collabs with him anymore either because there's a whole drama with that website too.
I was gonna say, don't get me involved in your YouTube drama.
Well, I mean, I wasn't involved. I just know of it because it was a big thing on Twitter that everyone was like talking about. It's like, oh, well, you see on the set, people were fucked up. It's like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, a lot of these people look really fucked up anyway. It's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully there's not one day where we're in a YouTube feud.
Well,
I'm gonna upload a video. It's like why I'm done with Theo and Cleo.
Well, Theo.
This.
It's gonna be like Theo exposed. Oh man.
Yeah.
Like you just upload videos like, did you know that Theo like when he every time I would come online to do these videos, he would always tell me to shut up and never talk. He was like, Charles, you talk way too much. If this is my video, know your place. This is my channel. I can like fucking do this. You know, one day I'm gonna upload a video, and one day it's gonna be like my OBS sometimes been doing this fucked up thing where it just does not accept the audio. It tells me the audio is there, but when I do a stream, sometimes people are like, "Hey, is the video muted?" I'm like, "No." Like OBS is telling me that it's like picking it up, and it's like, "Oh well, nothing's going on." So I had to restart OBS. So one day. Like, because I did a test and it worked, I was able to hear you, but one day I'm going to upload a video, you're going to be muted. It's something like, wow, Theo, you fucking didn't like Charles so much you muted him. It's like, no.
Oh my god. That'll be so funny if we recorded this whole thing and you can't hear anything I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's going to be honest, though, because I did respond to things you said, so they can't tell me I artificially muted you. I did respond.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I guess we'll talk next week. I'm excited to see where we end up. Hopefully you catch up to where I'm at.
Yeah, hopefully.
I have some other games I'm playing, so I'll play a little slower this week.
Yeah, but I will say this, I do kind of like the idea of like, you know, seeing how far, like if, you know, maybe this time we'll be ahead, then, you know, maybe next time I'll be ahead, because I did have 3 days I did not play the game at all. So like it's, no, 4 days, because I actually spent an extra day at my brother's, but I know I do like the see who beats it first almost. Yeah. I feel like because 2 scripted, it's like it's a little bit more of like, you know, it becomes less of experiencing the game and more of like, all right, I need to be here at this point or anything like that. Like I don't want it to become like a checklist.
That's true. That's true. I agree. Yeah, we'll see. So I'll probably play a little slower this week, and also. I might not be able to meet on Sunday, but we'll see. We'll talk about it over the week.
Yeah, I mean, is there any other like? Well, you'll tell me when you get close, I guess. I mean,
I just don't. I might have plans, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, you have plans, and see now the Theo exposed video is out the window. Now it's Charles exposed. He's making plans without me. All right. Well, all right. I think that's it. I had enough of this. You know, making plans without me and all this. I think we're done here. All
right.
I got something else to do. You know, I did get this. It's a Cat Peach amiibo.
That is some fetish shit. You need to be put on a list for owning.
Nintendo sold this officially, so you know, Doug Gosser will have to catch me first.
No, Nintendo is sick fucks for making that.
Hey, this is a power up in a game, so don't cry to me about this. Okay. It's Miyamoto's fault. Miyamoto, you know, he should be on those for making it. He thought about it.
Yeah,
I just bought it. He thought about it.
what a sick fuck.
You know, he also came with Tanuki suits. I mean, a whole legacy of fucked up shit. I mean, he turned Link into a wolf that one game.
I know the Miyamoto sex parties must be bizarre.
Yeah, and with that, I think this is a great place to end. YouTube is gonna block this video. So like, oh no,
demonetized.
Yeah. All right.
That was another fun one.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, that's it. Goodbye.